Hey everybody, it's Tim Sackett, and I'm back with another edition of SmashUps. This one live from the HR Tech Conference in Vegas. And of course, I was able to bring in an actual Smashfly person, the head of product marketing, Josh Zywein. I knew I was going to screw that up. Jay-Z for sure.
Just go Jay-Z.
Zywein.
It's so much easier.
But he's out of Michigan. He's a Michigan guy like me. So U of M, Michigan State, or neither?
Neither. Yeah. So my brother went to Notre Dame. And so he was 10 years, 12 years older than me. So I kind of grew up Notre Dame fan.
So the Michigan State game was the monsoon game this year.
Yeah.
And my Sparties pulled it out. Did
yeah.
you watch?
It was ugly.
Did you have any vested interest either way?
My wife is a Michigan fan. My daughter is 7 and plays hockey and has dreams of going to Michigan State. She wants to go to vet school.
Nice.
So I'm kind of torn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Indifferent.
A house like triple divided. Yeah, like Notre Dame, Michigan State, all the way through. That's not too bad.
Right. Yeah. All that matters is that we all root against Ohio State. So.
Oh yeah, yeah. Everyone hates Ohio State.
Yeah.
There you go. There goes the Ohio State contingent of the blog, video blog watchers. So Josh, one thing I wanted to ask. So we've been on the expo floor a couple days. Everything we're hearing is AI, chatbots, robots, all this stuff. What's the reality of the AI, like where we're at right now, and where do you think it's going?
Yeah, so I think for me at least, it's just understanding that AI is nothing new necessarily. It's been around for a while. It's kind of new in our space, and there's kind of some really cool and interesting applications of AI. But AI and machine learning has been around forever. Mary Grace Hennessy, our head of product, likes to talk about resume parsing. Yeah. Resume parsing really is machine learning and AI at its core, right? So none of that is particularly unique. I think what we're seeing is some really kind of unique or creative ways of applying AI to our space. Yeah. But there's also some companies that say they have AI and it's automation. It's
because there's a difference, right? Where we talk about I don't know if that. It's still going.
So good. Yeah.
There's a difference when we talk about like intelligent automation versus actual artificial intelligence. So explain a little bit the differences there and what is the two between the two.
Yeah. So intelligent automation really, I think, it requires more manual setup. So when you think about that, it's really workflows. But it's setting up those workflows in a way that once they're established, then they know how to kind of progress and kind of nurture a candidate without human intervention. That's intelligent automation. The system itself knows how to kind of progress and move. AI and machine learning really is taking a data set in and learning from it over time, learning from these inputs, and then knowing what to do with that data.
And actually making decisions that could be different than what you've actually first set up. Yep. To say, hey, this is, and that's where I think the scary kind of robot stuff comes in, where they're like, oh, they're going to take over because it can make a decision on its own.
Right, exactly.
But it's making probably the most intelligent decision based on the data it has.
Absolutely, and that's kind of the funny duality to this is AI is either going to ruin us all or it's going to save us all. So which one is it? I think you talk to people and you kind of hear different things. It's going to steal our jobs. It's going to make our jobs easier. And I think we're still kind of in that space trying to figure out, where we're actually going to fall.
I have a 14-year-old son, and so I'm trying to get him through all the pop cultural movies. So we do assignments. So my wife and I will go on date night, and we'll say, your assignment tonight is to watch Breakfast Club. Right. Your assignment tonight is to watch iRobot. And we just did this one last week. Yeah. And to me, that was when I think of artificial intelligence, it was always Sunny for my robot. It was like, I want one of those robots. Right. And when can we have those? Yeah. And the crazy part is that movie was made 15 years ago. Yeah. And it's still so relevant, and even more now that we're talking about all this artificial intelligence.
Well, it's kind of the old Orwellian, 1984, right? That is reality now, as scary as it is. I was talking to Sean Burton from Hiring Solve yesterday, and he talks about how we debate what is AI, what isn't AI. Instead, let's focus on what it's allowing us to do. Yeah. What is it going to help us do? How cool is it that we have this thing?
So if I'm a TA leader, talk about some of those things. What should I be looking for my team? How is this going to change our workflow? How is this going to change what we do on a daily basis? What are some of those practical applications?
Sure. So I think even before that, before AI is put into place, it's making sure that you have the people process in place to really kind of manage it, right? Yeah. And then the data that you're going to be feeding into this AI is clean and reliable, because ultimately with the AI, it's going to react to the data that you put in, and then it's going to learn from it, and it's going to automate from there. if your data stinks when you put it in, then the AI is going to stink, right? It's just going to be,
but
it's going to stink faster.
So isn't there, but that's a problem where I think almost every TA leader I know will go, oh, our data sucks.
Right.
Right?
Sure.
And so then, so aren't we just setting them up for failure then on the AI side?
So yes and no, but I mean, I think there's some AI, so Hiring Solved is a good example, right? They're a partner of ours. What they kind of focus on is trying to be the Google for talent.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is taking all of this data.
Isn't there a Google for talent now?
There is a Google for talent. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's a whole nother SmashUp. Yeah, but what they're doing is taking all of this data and all of this, this kind of exhaust on candidates that's out there.
Yeah.
Aggregating it in, deciding what makes sense and what's relevant, and then contextualizing it, and then feeding it into ideally a CRM, which is kind of where our partnership comes into play.
Yep.
But that's where the CRM is really reliant on good data, right? And if you have that good data and it feeds in there, then that intelligent automation triggers, and it all makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of the first step. If you're going to get AI, then make sure that whatever you're putting in place is giving you good data first. If you have that and you're enriching that data, then the other AIs that you can kind of layer, the other tools that you can layer on to have AI make a lot more sense. So
I know another one that you guys are partnering with, and it's a hot one that was on the expo, and a lot of people taking a look. Is called Olivia.
Yep.
So what do they do?
Sure. Olivia is a chatbot, really. So it sits on the career site. It's designed to improve the candidate experience. So when a candidate lands on a career site and has a question or wants to find out more information about the company or find a job or whatever, it's basically an interface that somebody can kind of interact with to find that information a little bit quicker, a little bit easier, a little bit more accurately. Where our partnership comes into play, so Talent Network forms, talent communities.
Yeah.
Everybody's had those for a few years. Form fills are effective. We've tried to kind of minimize them, right? The mobile apply process, the focus there is kind of shortening that process and requiring less information, only the information you really need to process. Mm-hmm. But eventually, I think forms will go away, right? Those chatbots could replace those forms eventually.
So the chatbot's basically asking the person that question, like, what's your name, what's your email address, versus fill in this form.
Right, exactly. Which kind of gets me to the second point. When you're out there looking at AI technologies, do those technologies integrate with your core systems? And what does that integration look like? So a lot of companies will say, yeah, we integrate. But what does the integration look like? What is it going to, the data that's collected by these AI tools, how is that going to funnel into your ATS or your CRM or whatever else?
I think one of the cool things when you take a look at like Olivia and some of those similar kinds of AIs is like not only are they saying, hey, what's your name, what's your email address, but if somebody goes, I don't really want to give you my email because I don't want to get spammed, like that will actually respond in a real natural way to say, hey, we're not going to spam you. Literally, this is only going to be for you for the jobs that you're interested in. Like, and you can opt out any time. Like it actually explains. Like it doesn't just come back with like a form feed, like saying, does not compute.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I think too, there's the opportunity that we talk about the black hole of the ATS or CRMs too. That kind of has that issue, right? You put a CRM in place and people sign up for your talent community or talent network, and then nothing ever happens.
Yeah.
So
and we're sitting on this giant database of all these candidates that we never actually connect with again.
Exactly. So then, again, if you're, let's say, Olivia integrates with a CRM, that's going to populate the contact record, and it's going to collect that information over time, so that when a visitor comes back to the website, they'll be recognized. You can continue the conversation, and it feels a little bit more human.
Well, it's a little Big Brother scary too, because
absolutely.
All of a sudden you come in one time, you come to the site, you fill this out. The next time you come up, it's like, "Hi, Josh," and you're just like, "Oh boy, it's following me."
And that's the fine line I think that you have to walk too. Is you want to collect as much information as possible. You also don't want to creep people out, and make them feel uncomfortable. So it's I think we're still trying to figure it out. It's a clumsy kind of process, or kind of clumsy period, I think, era for talent acquisition specifically. All these technologies are coming in. You walk around that expo floor, and it's just
insane.
Yeah, it's overwhelming. So,
is there anything else that you've seen out there, or something that you see like coming in the future that we just probably 5 years ago, we weren't here talking about AI. Mm-hmm. It was all about data.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, well, now everyone has data,
Sure.
too much data. We don't know what to do with the data.
Right.
And now we're talking about AI and why do we use this data?
Yeah.
Like, what do you see if we come back 5 years from now? Where do we see this all kind of going?
Man, 5 years is a long time.
In this space, yeah.
It's almost like a year you want to talk.
Talk next year, what's going to be the hot topic?
Yeah, I think it's the two areas that really interest me are kind of assessments and kind of candidate scoring.
Yeah.
And then this kind of conversation around bias. Like, can we use AI to remove bias? Does it introduce bias? that kind of goes back to your data and your process, right? Yep. If your process is biased, inherently biased, and then you plug that process into AI, all you're doing is teaching the AI to be biased, right? So, but I think there's an opportunity for AI to play a role in removing kind of the unconscious bias that we have, and allowing candidates, especially when we're talking about diversity and kind of inclusion, there's an opportunity, I think, there to make big strides. And then assessments and kind of candidate scoring is already here. There's a company called Ideal that I was checking out on the expo floor that we're talking about.
Pretty dynamic, I like their stuff.
It's awesome. But stuff like that is really interesting, right? You talk about, I think the value of AI, the practical application of it is, where can it create efficiencies? So that the recruiter, it doesn't replace the recruiter, it makes the recruiter better and more effective.
It's one of the challenges, because we keep saying that, and I keep every AI company, every intelligent automation company I'm talking to is always, it's not about, we're not going to eliminate recruiter jobs, right? But the reality is they are eliminating a big piece of the recruiter job, and you'd be a moron not to go, if I eliminate 40% of the recruiter job and I have 400 recruiters, I'm probably going to lose some recruiters. I don't need them all. But what they're not doing yet, and I'm looking forward to this, because we saw this on the data side as well. When it first came out, it's data, and then it was also like, wait a minute, now we need to do predictive and prescriptive and all these other pieces. I think that is the same thing with AI. It's like, we're going to take away the stuff, but we have to be able to understand, what now do we do with all that extra capacity that we have. The ranking thing, I think, is a challenge. And Jessica Lee on a panel, we did a TA Tech Sec panel here. Jessica Lee's VP of Talent for Marriott.
Marriott too, not Marriott.
Not Marriott, Marriott.
Got corrected.
I got corrected. But she said that's the challenge they have, because even though they're ranking candidates, what they're ranking on necessarily isn't the most sophisticated ranking ability. And so these bigger companies are like, whoa, we're not going to, take your kind of unsophisticated ranking. And again, these companies would claim that's not unsophisticated, but it's not as dynamic as I think we would hope for an assessment. In terms of, because they're ranking on skills just based on keywords and different things that they've done and experience, but they don't really know for sure if the person has that skill set. So I think we'll start to see that just evolve more with more sophistication.
That's the crazy thing. We're really, tip of the iceberg type of stuff here, where what we're capable of doing now really is nowhere near what we're going to be able to do in a year or 2 years or 5 years. The technology is there, right? It just needs to develop. With assessments too, it's a lot of times it's one model being applied to all companies, right? And really, like, especially when it comes to predictive and assessments and all that other stuff, it's very, very personal to the company. Like what they consider a good candidate, a quality candidate, is very unique. What Marriott considers a quality candidate is different than Intel, right? So I think that's different. Back to the recruiters and worrying about their jobs being replaced. The reality is that that's true, right? Like, some recruiters are going to lose their jobs.
Nobody wants to talk about that.
Right. But the good news is, and I think the optimist view here is, that AI is going to create other jobs. And it's going to create other opportunities. So there's an opportunity for recruiters to kind of reskill a little bit. And I think if they do that, if there's kind of this opinion that this could be good for us, and if we kind of take a proactive approach to embracing it, then maybe they lose the job they're in now, but it's going to create another job that they could take on in the future.
To me, like, we looked back 2 decades ago on HR, and everybody wanted to be more strategic, wanted a spot at the table, but we couldn't get out of this tactical world that we lived in HR. Technology came in, took away all of that, and then you started to have this HR business partner relationship that happened. I see that same thing happening on the recruiting side with this talent advisor kind of relationship by going and saying, hey, you're going to just actually create kind of a new role within the organization. It's no longer going to be this tactical recruiter of calling, reaching out, setting up interviews. And now it's going to be something at a higher level. But it will be a reskilling for a lot of folks, for sure.
Well, I think an example of that, I won't mention the company, but there's a company that I was talking to that is talking about when they're talking about internal mobility or internal talent, right? And external talent, it's historically been separated, right? What they're doing is bringing it all together and just viewing it as like total talent. And I think, to your point, in terms of like talent advisor or strategic kind of talent strategist or whatever, there's the opportunity there to say, like, and this is where predictive comes into play, right? Like, which employees are more likely to leave? Which employees are more likely to develop into a job? Who should we kind of move along faster, right? And if a recruiter can see that and then advise their business partners or their hiring manager and say, like, look, these are the few people you should keep an eye on, then that person becomes very valuable to the company, right? And they're using the tools and the data to do that. but there's still kind of a human element to it. So I think that's super interesting.
So it's a great time to be in the recruitment marketing space. Great time to be at SmashFly, because I think we've gone over this tipping point where you had an ATS, and then people were trying to determine what they would have to, like what other pieces of the stack they needed. And I think now, especially within the Fortune 1000, everyone's like, we have to have some kind of recruitment marketing kind of platform to work with our ATS.
Right.
So what does that mean to Smash? What are you guys working on? What's next for you guys?
Sure. So I think really what we're focused on is the core product. Like, what's our core value? What were we founded to do?
Yeah.
We, for years, kind of went out and pioneered and kind of rallied this idea of recruitment marketing. I think now recruitment marketing is established.
Yeah.
We walk around the expo floor. One of the goals for us this trip was just walk around and talk to people and get an idea or assess like how well they know recruitment marketing, how they define it. Last year, I would say that, you know, maybe 50% had an idea of what recruitment marketing was, but couldn't really define it. This year, probably closer to 75-80%.
It's a solid segment.
Yeah, exactly. So it's same thing with CRM. So I think you're seeing CRM become a core piece of technology. Mm-hmm. I think that some companies still don't really know how to use it in conjunction with the ATS and kind of the relationship between the two. I think they're kind of figuring that out. But then it's all the other pieces that kind of plug in too, and where they kind of fit into the puzzle. So we're really focused on just making sure that core product is as buttoned up and as valuable as it can be.
Cool.
And that, you know, there's plenty of other things we can kind of chase and do. And I think we, you know, part of this, the AI thing for us is we're kind of developing this ecosystem of partners that, you know, our customers can plug in the best of breed.
Yeah.
It sounds like a cop-out, but it's really, that's where we see value being added.
I see every technology has to make that decision. Again, from the tech panel, like that was one of the bigger decisions was, when do we go to our tech vendor that we love to use and ask them to either build out what we need or partner with someone who already has something that's great.
Sure.
And sometimes it doesn't make sense. Like, again, to build it out when somebody else already has like a great piece, and that's not 100%. Your focus anyways.
100%. You know? And I think what happens with a lot of technology vendors is when you do ask them to build something out that isn't their core competency or that they don't have the resources to dedicate to, what you end up with is half-baked technology, and that doesn't help anyone.
Yeah.
So, you know, frankly, that's just not what we want to do. We didn't want to come up with something just to say we have something and then have it be worse than what's available in the market, right? Then we're just shoving something down our customers' throats saying, you use this thing and pay for it. When the alternative is you can use this other thing and kind of easily plug it in through API or an integration. So, yeah, so for us, it's very much recruitment marketing. That's our sweet spot, always has been. It's what we're focused on. We kind of believe that CRM is the core engine of our platform.
Yep.
And all the other pieces feed that CRM and allow you to do the intelligent automation that we talked about. And then it's that partner ecosystem that you can kind of, you know, Salesforce this isn't unique. Salesforce has had its App Exchange, and your phone has apps that you can download. You know, Apple's not out there trying to develop an app for everything. Yeah. So, you know, that's kind of where we're at right now.
All right. Yeah. So thanks for letting us geek out on tech. Josh, thank you so much. SmashFly, thanks for sponsoring. Fistful of Talent. SmashUps is out. We'll see you guys next time.